Alex
Magallanes.
with Chicanos por la Casa
Causa.
on the air with us today. And then we also have on the second half of the show, Hugo Frausto, a Marine and also a patient alongside me at North Star Hyperbaric and North Star Neurology. So we look forward to talking to him. He is a lot he's going to share with us, but definitely excited to have both guests today. And I promise you, pinky swear that we're going to have an awesome show. Is that a promise? Do you think
absolutely.
we can deliver? I think so too. But like always, we are going to give a big shout out to a very loving father that has blessed us so very much and is there for us even when nobody else is, and we call him the God. And we're going to give him a little praise with the Lord's Prayer, and it goes a little something like this. Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory forever and ever. Amen.
Amen.
Yeah, awesome. So let's go ahead and welcome our guest, Alex
Magallanes.
with Chicanos por la Casa.
Causa, yes, sir.
Thank you for coming on the show with us, Alex.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me here.
Yeah, man. So grateful to have you here, brother. Alex is such an amazing man. We've jammed for a year now, more than a year. Met him, and we just connected immediately, and been connected ever since. Very helpful guy. I mean, he's just all around an amazing human being. And so thank you for being here, man. I appreciate you. And
Andres, same here.
yeah, thanks, brother. So yeah, let's just get started, man. Tell us a little bit about what is Chicanos por la Causa, Alex.
Yeah, so Chicanos por la Causa is a nonprofit organization that is headquartered in Phoenix.
Mm-hmm.
We have a lot of different departments and programs that we offer to the community, from education all the way to health, and the division that I'm working with is called Préstamos, which is the small business division.
Mm-hmm.
And so in this Préstamos, it's a community development financial institution. So what does that mean? Basically it's an alternative lender for small business owners that will offer alternative lending products to traditional banking. So traditional banking would be, like any bank, credit union, that for a small business owner that needs access to capital, sometimes they cannot be qualified because traditional banking tends to be a little more conservative and strict about regulations and rules and credit. A CDFI like Préstamos, it's a little more alternative, or what other people like to call a bridge lender, meaning it's more flexible and offers access to capital to small business owners while they become bankable. And so one of the things that you probably may have heard, but one of the things we've been doing for the, since the beginning of the year, as a matter of fact, since January 10th, we've been working with the Payment Protection Program, or known as the PPP.
So tell us a little bit more about that, how that's been going, and how has that, has there been a lot of people asking for that, and how do you help them out? And if anybody's interested, how can, they connect with Chicanos por la Causa for that help?
Yeah, so for this is the second round. There was the first round right at almost at the beginning of the pandemic, and this is the second round. And so altogether, we've helped close to 2,000 different small business owners get access to this payment protection program. So this program was designed by the SBA, or the Small Business Administration, to be, on quotation marks, alone, that it will be 100% forgivable, which is great, right? Because it's exactly serves the purpose for exactly that, to protect your payment, whether your payments towards your your employees or owner compensation payments. So what does that mean, right? Because I'm using big words. So like if you are a sole proprietor and you have maybe a single member LLC, or maybe you never register as a small business owner and you've been working just side jobs, but you do file a Schedule C when you do your taxes, the government sees you as a small business owner. And so this program was designed so that you can at least receive 2.5 months worth of what you would take home from your business, your pay, or in other words, owner compensation. And so basically it's a program designed to help you survive the pandemic. And as long as you use it to pay yourself or pay your employees, then it's 100% forgivable.
I'm actually glad you brought this up, because the big thing, and actually, sadly enough, I recommended to Andreas just recently this PPP, and it seems like it changed drastically, because for my own organization, like you're saying, at the beginning of the pandemic, I filed for it, and it was pretty easy. Like, it was almost like it was an online application process, and it was like it's 8 questions it asked you, and it was really, really streamlined. But now it's a completely different thing. So explain that change, when that change happened, and what people are looking at now comparison to back when the pandemic first started.
Yeah, so at Prestamos, even throughout the changes, we're really trying to make it as easy as possible to small business owners like yourself. And so one of the changes, there were some big changes that the Biden administration actually executed for this second round, and it was actually a beneficial change for small business owners. And so on the first round, they did the calculation was based on your net income. So that means that after all of your expenses, then you would be eligible for whatever you'll be eligible based on your net income. So it will be very minimum. And the new administration, they decided that it should actually be calculated on your gross income, so before your expenses.
Okay.
And
I hate to cut you off, Alex. We're gonna actually go to a break now. We'll pick up where we left off when we get back.
Good stuff.
This is Alex with Chicanos por la Causa. We'll be right back. Once again, Alex with Chicanos por la Causa, being here with us. Let me ask you, what inspired you to help develop the economy by assisting entrepreneurs?
Oh, thank you that's a fantastic question. So it all started, I used to work for a local credit union, and I used to read a lot of articles back then about women entrepreneurship. And there's been a big disparity between women and men, and women have less access to capital. And so I just started reading more and more, and I really wanted to get involved on how to help women that are entrepreneurs, especially minority women, to get access to capital. And that's where it all started. I ended up being hired for a nonprofit organization based in Albuquerque, just to do the same kind of work, kind of similar to what I'm doing right now with Chicanos, and just helping women entrepreneurs and minorities get access to capital. And so from then, I continued growing up in that career. I ended up being the deputy director for the Women's Business Center, and so and now I am at Prestamos, which is a division for Chicanos por la Causa.
That's awesome. That's amazing. Yeah. And then, how would you say? I know we're all so affected by COVID-19, like you mentioned before. We're all looking at pretty much almost a year or a little over a year into it now. How has it affected your organization?
It has affected. In some, I want to say in some positive ways, in the sense that I think we all have to be flexible and be able to stay relevant and grow in many areas. Like from doing interviews and coaching people remotely every single time, to just try to find ways to still help small business owners, without the being having face-to-face conversations, right? Because usually small business owners, they want to go and meet with someone in person, but I think it helps us just grow in the capacity that a pandemic is not going to stop us to help small business owners and just staying relevant, staying flexible to the small business owners' needs.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and in a sense, I mean, we all got affected by it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Having to quarantine, small business owners had to shut down. And so, because of that, I think it opened the door not only for Prestamos, but many, all across the Arizona, for small business owners to seek other ways to improve and innovate their businesses. Now, I've heard stories of food trucks that they created a platform so that people can order online,
Nice.
stuff like that. So the innovation that the pandemic brought to a lot of small business owners, it's good. And obviously the negative aspect is that, a lot of people have been affected by this, but still, regardless, I am proud to say that at least the entrepreneurial community in Arizona has been very diligent and determined to continue growing.
And how would you say, what's been the major way that you've had to adjust to the changes with COVID and everything that's going on?
That's a great question. So for my side, it's been 6 years that I've been working from home.
Mm.
So in a sense, the only adjustment I had to do on my end is that, just being used to, my kids were still homeschooling our kids, right?
Mm.
So being used to having a different pace in my home while I'm trying to, help small business owners. And so I think that has been the greatest adjustment as far as schedules, my wife's work and my children, helping them with their school. Ultimately, I mean, it's been a year, right, that all of us have been practicing new adjustments. And so I can truly say that it's a new era. It's a new day, the way that we're living. I personally do not believe that things are going to go, on quotation marks, normal. I think we're going to grow into other opportunities, as we know.
Nice. And so for our radio listeners that don't really know what Chicanos por la Causa is, explain some of the other things that you guys do outside of, your department and what you do.
Yeah, absolutely. So we do have, for Chicanos por la Causa, have also charter schools in Tucson,
Nice.
high schools. And obviously these are with the intent. Number one, these schools are in low-income areas of Tucson, and they are targeted to attract people or youth at risk. And so one of the purpose of that is to help them, obviously, not be part of the numbers of the statistics, right? Of the young people that are, statistically they're, I guess, on their way to end up either in jail or, something else. And so that's one of the programs that we offer, and again, these schools are strategically in low-income areas. We have also programs that are targeted for women that are being abused of either sex trafficking or home violence. And so you can find about all of those programs at Chicanos por la Causa in our website if you just Google it. So there's different, like I said, there's many areas. There's also housing. There's programs to help, if you are a first-time home buyer, you'll get connected with someone who will help you and try to maybe find a program to help you with a down payment.
That's amazing. I didn't realize that that you guys did so much. Another one of those diamonds in the rough in our community that certainly doesn't get the due praise that you deserve, for sure. Yeah, and so I guess we got probably about another 45 seconds till we have to get out of here. I guess let our listeners know how they can, one, connect with you, and then how they can connect with Chicanos por la Causa, and just plug in as a whole anybody who needs help. Yeah,
so just simply visit our website, cplc.org, and if you're interested in a small business help or coaching, just go to Prestamos Loans PPP, or simply prestamosloans.org as well. And you can also call the 602-258-9911, and then we can connect you with someone that can help you and answer your questions.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Alex, for coming on the show with us. That was amazing information. Definitely. Hopefully we can have you back on in the future. We always need someone to kind of give our listeners some good advice on business. We certainly have a lot of business listeners. So look forward to talk to you in the future, brother. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Alex. Have a good one, brother.
This is the Common Good Radio Show, brought to you by Veteran Rescue Mission. Oh, no.
Yeah.
We have two Andreas Ruizes in the studio, both representing I Believe in Myself.
Yes.
Only one of them's officially a coach. The other one's like...
He's coaching me. So
he
he's my coach.
you. He's the coach's coach.
Yeah,
Yes.
he's the coach's coach.
Yeah, and unrelated, I'm John McClain of Veteran Rescue Mission.
Yes.
Actually, Pastor John McClain, even if you're feeling a little funky. Absolutely. And on the phone, we have a fellow veteran brother, Mr. Hugo Frausto, a Marine, and also a fellow patient at North Star Hyperbaric and North Star Neurology. Thank you for coming on with us, brother.
Oh, it's my pleasure. How's everybody doing?
Oh, fantastic.
I can't complain, man.
Yeah,
Right?
man.
Yeah, today has been an excellent day. And in studio with me, I got one of my best friends in the world, and I have his 8-year-old son, who's just, this dude's cool. Like, I'm pretty sure me, you, and Andreas himself will end up working for him. So I'll start, I'll start buttering him up for you now, so you can get a pay raise at the end of the year. Okay.
Good. I'll start working on that resume for him.
Absolutely. Yeah. He says coloring within the lines is very high on the list. So put that on there. So tell us a little bit about your experience as a Marine and, in the ways, how that shaped you. I know for me, I'm an Army vet, but I know my time in the Army shaped me quite a bit.
Yeah. Well, for me, it was, I joined in 04 right out of high school. Everything happened when 9/11 happened. It started to build up this sense of service for me, because initially when I was in high school, I didn't ever want to join the military. I didn't have it in my mind. But when that whole attack happened, I was just like, you know what? This is something that I need to do. And so right after I graduated, I ended up joining, and I went with I landed with 3-5, which is an infantry unit out there in the Marine Corps. And I did while I was with them, I did a total of 3 deployments. 2 of them were to Fallujah, Iraq, and then one Marine Expeditionary Unit where I got to float on ship. And I also, towards the end of my time, because I did a total of 10 years, for the last 3.5 years that I was in, I was a drill instructor. So I got to run around and, yell at new recruits.
Interesting. That always seems like that's like a really fun job, but having gone through basic, I know that's a really hard job. Like a lot of times it's kind of like you have to go through the same type of training that those kids do, huh?
You pretty much have to go through boot camp all over again to do the, you have to relive everything, and you have to see all the behind the scenes. And it's probably the best and worst job I've ever done, just because it's so demanding physically and mentally. There's days where you don't sleep because someone has to be up at night with the recruits, especially if you're the junior guy. You're definitely not getting any sleep or food or any of that stuff, because you have to keep up that persona that the drill instructor is someone that doesn't sleep or eat or drink anything. And so Marines are pretty good at torturing themselves like that.
Yeah, I could imagine. And I'm actually glad that you mentioned the thing about the effect 9/11 had on you, because I know Andreas has heard me talk about it so many times on this show. So I think his eyes lit up when you said something, because I actually joined November of 2001 because I, like you, I don't know if you're a military brat, but I was. And my parents instilled in my head at a young age, I'm going to join the Army. I'm going to join the Army. I would have been I'm the 4th generation. So I would have been the 4th generation. And I was like, no. But then something about 9/11, when 9/11 hit, we realized, particularly, if we were able body, you got to step in there if you can. So I know it certainly shaped my life. And I thank you for being brave enough to step in when you were needed as well.
Well, thank you. definitely my pleasure. I mean, there was something about going into class that day and seeing, first of all, seeing an entire plane hit the towers, and then seeing people have no other choice but to jump out. It really hit me pretty deep, and I was just like, I would have, it was some imagery that really stayed in my head for the remainder of the time, all the way up until I joined, where I kept seeing those people and just being like, man, that's so unfair that they had to die like that. And I felt like, man, I have to go do something about it, like, yeah. So
yeah,
I ended up doing that, and
that's awesome.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about, you spoke about your 2 tours in Iraq. I have one tour myself. I unfortunately got out right after the one tour. And we talked a little bit on the phone earlier about how you didn't necessarily incur any physical injuries, thankfully, thank God. But there were other injuries and you incurred. If you don't mind, tell us a little bit about those injuries and how you got to that place.
When you're in the military and you go through these deployments, you do so much workup and so much training that a lot of the stuff that are symptomatic of like PTSD and stuff like that, you really you think that it's just your aggressiveness or your nature because of the type of environment that you're in, and you kind of ignore a lot of that stuff. And I've, for the longest time, even when I got back from my first deployment, my wife and a bunch of my friends that I served with, they'd say, "Hey, I think you got PTSD. I think you have this," and I would just kind of shrug it off, and I don't know. I never liked the idea of thinking that there was something wrong with me because I had friends that, got blown up or shot and they were missing limbs or they died or they had way worse off. And so for me to feel like, hey, there's nothing wrong with me physically. I didn't get a limb blown off. I didn't get shot. There shouldn't be anything wrong with me. I got lucky. You know what I mean? And so that just the whole thought of there being something mentally wrong would really mess with me, so I stuffed it. And I carried that all the way through the rest of my career, for the remainder up until the 10-year mark. But once I got out and there was no more training and no more Marine Corps to kind of hide those symptoms, they just really started coming out. Like I remember being in college at the U of A and going into a crowd, it was packed in there, and just all of a sudden starting to feel really like clammy and sweaty and just hyper vigilant and all of it, like these really weird feelings, like I needed my rifle or something. And I was just like, what the hell's going on with me, And I started to not be able to sleep. I started, having just these really weird symptoms and panic attacks, and then just, I got to the point where I was just like, I had gone so low with not being able to deal and cope with like all these symptoms that all of a sudden it felt like they kind of ambushed me and came out of nowhere, that I was just like, I was getting ready. There was a couple of times where I was getting ready. Let me,
Alex or Hugo, let's pick up. We're going to pick up after the break. Andreas Ruiz in the house, 1 and 2. And we got Mr. Hugo Frausto on the phone with us. He is a Marine in the beautiful United States military, and then also a patient with me at North Star Hyperbaric, North Star Neurology. Thank you, Hugo, for being on with us, brother.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, and I cut you. Sorry, I had to cut you off before we went out. That was an amazing story that you're sharing. Definitely just these ideas that most people just don't even realize. Like, even outside of veterans, like there's a lot of people out there that have PTSD that deal with these things, that have had a good amount of trauma in their life and don't get it situated. I know, with my personal experience, I came home and I started, kicking butt with both feet, had no problem, became a pool contractor, made all kinds of money, lived what would seem like a relatively successful life. But then after time, it built, and then just out of nowhere, the breakdown just happened. So I don't know if that was an experience that you have. I know you were kind of touching on it, how it's just like you don't think anything's wrong because we have all these coping mechanisms that deal with things, particularly being such trained to be tough guys, trained to kill like we were, you know, having to finally accept that, okay, I'm human and I'm not okay. And due to the fact that I'm not okay, I need to get some help. So, you know, tell us a little bit about, you know, that the ways that you've kind of addressed dealing with, you know, the issues that you incurred during combat since you finally, you know, came to the acceptance that something's going on.
Yeah, well, I mean, initially my first steps were I went to the VA to get treatment, and they put me on they have like a regiment. They said, hey, we're going to put you on our, you know, they heard a couple of the key words of the things that I said, and they decided to give me their typical VA cocktail, and so the medication that they put me on, it ended up causing more side effects than anything. And then I pretty much just turned into like a robot, man. I was just really numb, didn't have any feelings whatsoever. You know, I'd have, you know, during the course of time from when I went, you know, before I started doing treatment at North Star, you know, people would die from my family and stuff like that, or serious things would happen, and I would be flat all the time emotionally. And it was starting to wear down on my relationships, you know, especially with my wife. And because a lot of that stuff didn't work, I ended up just looking for alternatives. And thankfully I was able to find North Star. And I started doing the hyperbaric oxygen treatment with them, and doing the IV therapy with Carol Land there. She's amazing. And then obviously also the vitamin supplements with the vitamin supplements as well. And that just really, the combination of that and doing it's given me so much clarity, and, you know, I could sleep at night. I'm no longer on any type of medications. I've been able to come off of all the they call them the SSRIs, the serotonin producing drugs that are very addictive, you know. And, you know, they've given me a quality of life back that I never thought was going to be possible. I thought I was going to be this kind of broken person that was going to be stuck on meds for the rest of my life.
And besides what you do with, you know, the hyperbaric treatments and the vitamins, what else do you do? Like, do you have any routines that, you know, keep you, you know, just with this positive mindset and with your mental health?
Yeah, I mean, I go to church, and I do read a lot of books. I like reading a lot of, like, you know, like especially Zig Ziglar. I have him on Audible.
There we go.
Zig Ziglar's amazing. Keeps that mindset going. And then I'm just very active. Like, I'm part of a lot of different organizations I volunteer for as well. And I like to do jujitsu just to get around, because a lot of the guys that do a sport like jujitsu, they're all kind of like-minded. They're all like, you know, police officers, veterans, stuff like that. So it kind of helps with that missing piece of the military, of having that camaraderie with other like-minded warriors, you know?
Yeah, that's amazing, man. And as soon as you said Zig Ziglar, I was like, I got to meet this guy. We got to have coffee or something, man, because I'm a big believer in personal development. That's what really changed my life, my mindset, because I went through like a bunch of crazy stuff in my life. And when I started listening to those audios, motivational audios, books, I mean, that completely changed my life. And how have those audios inspired, like, changed your life, man? I would really like to hear about that.
I mean, it's changed it because your mind starts to see opportunity and hope more than it does, because when you have things like PTSD or even severe depression, your mind can only imagine so much. Your mind can only say, you know, hey, we're down. You might as well just kill yourself because there's no hope. But when you actually start filling that space in your mind with positive things, like, you know, motivational speakers like Zig Ziglar, they start to offer those thoughts, and it's kind of like planting seeds in your brain. You're slowly planting those seeds, and it's growing. It's growing, and then eventually, without those speakers there, you can actually do it on your own, and you can start saying, hey, you know what? Yeah, life sucks right now, but I've got this going for me, and I'm going to do this, and I'm working on that, and you start to see the hope in your life, and that actually produces, you know, it produces a better life for you overall, because then you're not stuck in that rut, you know?
Yeah, that's amazing, man. That's awesome that what you're doing, man. You know, I don't know you personally, but I kind of already know you in a way by the way you're speaking. So really glad that you're doing that, man. So yeah, what is a piece of advice that you would give someone going through what you went through?
I would say the number one thing that I would tell people, especially veterans, don't battle this by yourself. Get out there and get help.
Nice.
There's a stigma that comes from being in the military, especially if you're in like in all male units.
Yeah.
There's this alpha male mentality where if you ask for help, if you go to the doctor, if you need to see a psychiatrist, you're weak. You're weak-minded. You're not an alpha male.
Yeah.
But it's just stupid thinking, because that's one of the reasons we have such a high suicide rate in the veteran community. It's because we've been pre-programmed to think that it's weak to ask for help. And I would just encourage anybody that's listening, if you're trying to battle it on your own, don't do it. Get some. You wouldn't leave the wire and go out into a firefight without all your buddies. You need to get some people around you, and you need to work it out with other people, not just by yourself.
Yeah, it's such an amazing point. I'm so glad we had you on, brother, because you make so many much needed points, particularly that one. Like I tell people regularly, I run actually a homeless veteran transition center, and what we do is we connect veterans with benefits and housing, and regularly, particularly the elder vets that I meet, Vietnam era vets. I'm telling them, we walk around all day, myself included, and we're like, I'm okay. But we have to accept the fact that we're not okay. And it's not just us veterans, it's everybody.
Absolutely.
Everybody on this planet.
Yes.
Like, you got trauma, you got stuff going on that you need to address. And like you're saying, Hugo, you need to put a team around you. Like, when they say it takes a village, they're not just talking about the little children; they're talking about the big children too. So and
I think one other thing too that I noticed with like certain parts of the veteran community as well is, going back to that whole positive mindset thinking, is what you speak to yourself is what becomes your reality.
There you go.
And I've noticed that there are veterans out there that do say, "Oh, I'm a dysfunctional veteran," but they use it as an excuse or a crutch to be like terrible people. To sit there and say, "Oh, I have an excuse to be a jerk." Or to do X, Y, and Z because I'm a dysfunctional veteran. And it's like, no, that doesn't have to be your reality. Recognize that there are some deficiencies, that maybe you are having some mental stress, but fix those and be that good, outstanding person that your training and everything else has developed you to be a better version. And so I when I see stuff like that, it's like, I don't let that into my mind. I don't let what I'm battling be my label or what stigmatizes me. I'm like, no, I'm going to use this as an opportunity to, first of all, speak life into myself, and then be an example to others and help others find the same path forward,
Beautiful, man. Well said. Yeah.
Yeah. So we got about another minute until we have to hop out of here. Tell us how exactly North Star Hyperbaric has helped you so far, and then like pretty much, especially being a new patient there, what I can expect, this time next year when I've had enough time into it as you have.
Well, I'm completely off of medications. They were able to get me off all the medications that the VA put me on. I'm actually having meaningful relationships now with my family because my mind has actually healed, and it's developed to where I can actually talk to other people and have emotions. Sometimes that's a little bit overwhelming because you go from being like this ogre, this dude that's just like a grunt, just doesn't know anything, to all of a sudden I have tears, which is weird, So it kind of restores back the human piece that you initially went into the military with,
And one thing I want to say before we get off, just because I want to hook up my veteran brother. I don't know if you go to the Tucson Vet Center, Hugo, for counseling, but it's free for all of us, for combat vets. And it's what I did as an alternative to going to the VA, because they just, like you said, they just want to give me drugs at the VA. But at the counseling place, I go and I speak to a combat Marine once a month, and he helps me, helps me just talk about whatever I want. So that's my lead to you, my friend.
That's good to know.
Yeah.
But hey, I would love before we head out, I'd love to get some coffee with you guys. So
yeah.
Oh,
you
absolutely.
guys have my phone number.
Yeah, I got your number.
Get my contact information.
Yeah,
absolutely,
I'll text you,
man.
and
Yeah,
we'll hang out
I'll be
this next
texting you, brother. Yeah, we'd really love to meet you, man.
week. All right.
Okay.
Well, thanks
All right,
for coming
cool.
on, brother. God bless.
Pleasure, brother.